Hello, my name is Krishna, and this is my game Artificial Selection Incorporated. This game is intended for middle to high schoolers in biology, learning about alleles, genotypes, and phenotypes. To play the game, you breed two different dragons to get different phenotypes for the dragons. The three genotypes use two different alleles. One follows the dominant recessive trait pattern, the other follows incomplete dominance, and the last follows codominance. This was a suggestion from my mentor, Mr. Jones, as previously I was going to make it purely based on breeds and not on alleles. This allows for the game to be more educational than it would have been. Also, being able to use Punnett squares as a learning mechanic was suggested by Mr. Jones, which is what gave the game its main learning component. You can go to the shop to buy more dragons, head back to the game, hire a worker for $400, fire a worker and receive $100, or buy another shop to increase the amount of customers you have. Also, hiring workers will increase the amount of breeds you can do per day. After you hit the end day button, customers will come into your store and buy your dragons depending on what the news says and what traits are best selling. The more closely you reach the news, the more money you get for each dragon that is sold. If you run out of dragons, you lose. The user starts in the Start Panel class, and then after going through a tutorial, ends up in the Game Panel class. Most of the logic of the game takes place in the Game Panel class, which functions as the main screen. If I had more time, I would have implemented harder difficulties, but it definitely wouldn't be hard, as I would just have to increase prices and make dragons sell for less. I used an array in the Stinging Razor class, which extends JMenu item. This is essentially a custom JMenu item that functions as a dragon. I added more parameters to the constructor for their traits, methods to get those parameters, and a breed method to breed two dragons. In this breed method, I store all the possible allele combinations in an array called values, and then use math.random to determine which allele ultimately ends up on the dragon. The math.random method is manipulated to return an integer between 0 and 3, which determines the index of the values array. I use the action performed method in Game Panel to check which buttons the user is pressing. To check which button is being pressed, I use the getSource method in the action event class. I also use the setText method and the getText method to read and write to buttons. If the user selects the dragon, it checks for it in a for loop, and it sets the text of that JMenu item to that JMenu. Thank you for listening.